You hear it all the time. Social media changes so fast. How can I ever keep up?
So today on the show, we're discussing those changes.
Today on the show, we're joined by Danielle Davis, church social media savant, and both her, myself, and Alex have brought two topics to discuss with the group.
First, something about social media that excites us about the future.
And second, something about social media that concerns us about the future.
We're here to keep your church in the know on all the changes happening on social, so let's dive in.
Well, hey there, and welcome to the Pro Church Tools Show. We're here to help you and your church navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. I'm Brady, your host. I'm joined as always by my co-host, it's Alexander Mills.
Hello, hello.
We're also joined by Danielle Davis, founder of Church Fluence. A great follow on Instagram as well, at I'm Danielle Davis. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thrilled to have you today. The episode framework is a bit of a new one. We're calling it 6 in 60. Both Danielle and Alex, along with myself, have brought topics to discuss in a roundtable format. Each of us has not shared our topics with the other two. We're not here to agree. We're here to discuss.
We'll see what happens, because last time we did this, didn't you and I have one of the same topics?
Yes. So what I tried to do is I tried to go a bit off the board.
Okay. What if I tried to go off the board and we ended up on the same board that's off the board?
Well, that would be problematic, I think. So we're talking about one change, observation, or trend on social media that excites us about the future and one that concerns us about the future. Reverend Randomizer has put each of us into the randomizer to determine the order. Alex.
That's right.
Who's going first?
Let me hit the randomizer. Yes, using the site random.org. And so we're in the hands of the randomizer here.
Ooh.
And our guest comes up first.
Let's
We're
go.
going with Danielle, and
Yes.
Danielle's going to share something on social, a trend, a change that excites her.
Okay,
a
we're starting
positive trend on
positive.
social.
We like it. Take it away, Danielle.
All right, here we go. I'm so excited about this for churches. So here it is. It's a shift in how we actually create content. And it is this: low fidelity videos are outperforming high production videos across platforms. So when I say low fidelity, I mean like purposefully unpolished. And, you know, we know that this started with TikTok, but I think that now we're starting to see it come across other platforms. And the reason is like people are actually now preferring to create and consume content that isn't polished, that doesn't have, you know, a lot of advanced edits or effects. And people want, like, you know, companies and organizations and churches to get real, to talk about real stuff and just not look so branded and look so perfect. And I feel like especially for churches, it used to be like the goal, or to help you stand out, you know, you have to have this really high production stuff because you're looking at Elevation, you're looking at these bigger mega churches, but now it kind of feels a little forced. It feels maybe a little overdone or scripted, or kind of creates this like distance between the church and the people. And again, I don't mean low quality, you know, but I mean not high production. You know, it doesn't mean your videos should be blurry or like your captions should be unreadable, or you shouldn't post horizontal when it's supposed to be vertical. You know, we need to work within the platforms and use them correctly, because that does help our posts get out to more people. But yeah, I just saw some really cool stats. Like one social media expert, Brock Johnson, he tested his posts and saw that his higher production value posts were actually getting 80% less views, likes, and shares. And in another study by Neil Patel, he looked at 3,000 business accounts on Instagram and TikTok, and it showed that about 34% of their low fidelity content actually got more likes and about 18% more comments. So, you know, they did note that the content that performed best still had some editing. And one like really notable thing is like all the clips would change within 3 seconds, which is really important, of course, for, you know, taking out your pauses out of your sermon clips, you know, in your recap videos, keeping those frames and clips really short. But the content looked more original. It was shot without a phone. There was one more study he did that of 100,000 reels that showed that videos perform better without like visual design elements, as long as the content was really good. And so anyways, this is so great for churches because the barrier to entry is actually lower than ever. And, you know, you don't need a fancy microphone anymore or camera or lighting. If you're into that, that's cool, but you don't have to have it. You know, you can learn to use your phone. It's easier and faster to make. And these types of videos that are more organic, they actually make your church feel more approachable because it feels more real. It is more real. One of my favorite examples I'll share is from my friend Zach at City Church, California. And he is actually an amazing photographer and videographer on YouTube. He has like an amazing YouTube, not for churches, that shows people how to do that stuff. But his best post on their church account was, I don't know if you guys have seen this post, but it's a girl in a baptism tub reading her testimony and it's on an iPhone. It was grainy because it was kind of dark. You know, he used the Instagram subtitles because he was just trying to throw it up there. It ended up getting nearly 1 million views. They got 6,000 followers from that one post. And then they started to post that same exact type of post over and over, and like another one got 1.7 million views. And it's hilarious because he's literally a pro photographer and videographer. But it just shows like the power of story, the power of what you post versus what it looks like, and that like those stories will break through, you know, the algorithm. Those stories are more important than what it looks like ultimately in the end.
I think it's just worth acknowledging how challenging this idea is for a lot of church creatives, because church creatives love the look of polish. And now what we're telling them is you need to purposefully put your own preferences aside for the sake of distribution and effectiveness of content. I had a church email me. We just had lunch as a company, Danielle. Email me right after lunch before we jumped on this call. And this church was like, hey, we've been working with you for a little while. We'd love to jump on a call. We're worried about like our Instagram grid and how the aesthetic of the grid is looking, because it, you know, we're creating content for them that is not creating this stunning grid for them. And when we got on the call, I am going to walk them through this precise exact thing. It's curious because I resisted the polish of social for the longest time. And then when I leaned into a bit more of it, our posts started to perform a little bit better. My theory is that my audience is church creatives that love polish.
Right.
And so they want to see that because it's signaling to them in a way that this is quality. And this is the kind of the challenge and the paradox is that what you like as a creator, it doesn't really matter because you are not your audience.
That's right.
Your church is different from you. They don't care about the polish. They don't care about the fancy grid and the perfect aesthetic. All they care about is this post accessible to me? And you use the word, Danielle, approachable. I think about the word like proximity. How close are you able to get to your audience? When you have this gloss and this polish and things are staged and there's tons of lighting, you're creating distance in between you and them. We talk about this with sermon clips. You add a fancy frame, you add all this nice graphics and this gloss, and there's this audio bed below it. You're actually dressing up something that at one point was really, really accessible. And now there's actually a distance a little bit between you and your audience because of how much production you've added to it.
Well, and I kind of proved this a little bit just this past week. I posted a video to our church's Instagram page, and it's our best performing post of all time. We have this big vacant lot at our church. It's a septic bed, and so we can't build anything on it. It's mostly just like a grassland meadow. And so we've been working to try and find creative ways to use that piece of property that honors God and honors the land, all that stuff. And so we actually made a relationship with a local beekeeper, and they're going to come and install 10 beehives on our property. So last week I met with the beekeeper. I'm showing him where to put the hives. And I want to tell our church about this. I want to post on social, and I've got two options, right? I could like script a whole video. I could film the grassland in slow motion. I could do a nice interview piece out there in the grass.
Drone it.
Yeah. Or I could do what I did, which is as soon as the beekeeper left, I grabbed my iPhone out of my pocket and I filmed a video with my iPhone, and I posted it before I left the church. And it's our best performing video we've ever posted because I told the same story that I would tell in a more hi-fi version of that production, but I did it in a way that was like candid, that was familiar, that resonates with our church audience, which is not a bunch of creatives like myself. It's just the people who belong to our church. And it was received better than any other post we've ever made.
We got 2 minutes left. That's perfect. What's the next on the randomizer. Who's up next?
It's me next.
Okay,
and,
Reverend Randomizer.
We're taking a bit of a turn here. Because it's my turn to talk about a change, an observation, a trend on social media that concerns me.
10 minutes on the clock.
About the future. So unless you live under a literal Earth-sized rock, you've seen the rise of AI in just about every area, arena, industry that we live and move in. According to Hootsuite, they said from 2022 to 2023, interest about learning about AI increased by 550%. And that's just because we see the rise of AI and we realize, oh, I need to know more, like, what is this? And then the next question, how can I use this in my work, in my play, whatever. And so in their survey, Hootsuite, they said that 61% of respondents said that the number one reason they plan to use AI is to reduce staff workload. And that speaks to churches and specifically church creative departments, because it's likely a team of one. Maybe it's a volunteer team of one. In church, we are classically overworked and underpaid. And so that's alluring, right? Oh, I have some automated tools I can use to reduce my workload. That sounds great to me. So there's the allure specifically for churches and church social media teams. Now, the task that most social media managers are using AI for, according to the study, is revising and creating caption copy, which makes sense. That's one of the most common uses of AI is, as far as social is concerned, is write a caption for this type of post and it'll spit it out. What we're finding in kind of putting all this data together is that social media managers are literally doing just that, which is asking Jasper or ChatGPT, hey, write a caption for this, and they're just copying and pasting and posting the way that the AI spits it out. But it's not limited to that. It seems like every week there's this new breakthrough in AI tech. We're seeing it like every time we're on the show, it seems there's something new to talk about, whether it's software we currently use or new software or robots, for goodness sakes. And in the social media sphere, there is a particularly new breakthroughs in not just the way that AI can produce caption content, but the way that AI can produce content, like creative content. And this is what's concerning to me. It seems like a lot of folks are excited about this. There's a lot of hoopla about platforms and software like Sora Online. Like, look at the video you can create by just telling it what to do. But the data says that there are just as many, if not more, folks that are concerned about this, just like I am. So Pew did a study in 2022 talking about the increased use of AI in daily life. And they found that 45% of US adults are equally concerned and excited about the rise of AI, while 37% are more concerned than excited, that's me, and only 18% are more excited than concerned. And so, this is my concern. In the context of church, this is who we work for, this is who we talk to on the show. We're not just social media managers, like the folks that Hootsuite is interviewing for these studies. We are social media ministers. We talk about this all the time on the show, that social media in the church arena, in its best form, its best expression, is a ministry unto itself. It's not just a means to advertise ministry. This is what we're doing at church on Sunday. These are our B's. This is whatever. It is actually ministry. And so my concern is that with kind of the saturation of these AI, not just AI software, but the tools baked into the software we're already using. I updated Lightroom today, and I'm in Lightroom.
Ooh, I also updated Lightroom
and it's like,
today.
Look at what it's giving me a tour of all the new AI features, and it's like, okay, every time I log into these softwares, they're telling me what they can do for me, but like, in the context of church, this is really specific to church on social. We are doing actual ministry through social media. And so it's so important that we lean into the relational element of like writing these captions by hand, responding to these comments, these DMs by hand. We talked about this on a recent show. DM auto replies, not automations, but auto replies. When folks send a message to your church, having an auto reply set up, like we need to have real pastors on the other end of these things replying by hand, so that through these technological means, through Instagram, through whatever, we're maintaining the relational proximity, maintaining the relational aspect of actually living life together, being an embodied church, and not just using AI to I don't know, improve our efficiency, to lighten our workload at the risk of losing the actual ministry element that we advocate for on this show.
Danielle, your thoughts?
Yeah, right. Like, so I feel concerned about this too in a little bit of a different way. Like I feel like it could become like the same issue as posting like a stock graphic or a stock photo. Like, oh, this is easy. Like, I can just get my caption written for me. Oh, this is easy. This can just like pop out a video or a graphic for me related to my sermon. You know, there's a lot of like church companies creating AI stuff and non-church companies. And I feel like it could just get really inauthentic. I saw a church recently and I was reading all the captions and I was like, I'm pretty sure ChatGPT wrote I'm pretty sure ChatGPT goes to your church. And, I think anyone can use ChatGPT to create a bland caption, but like content with a human touch, like that will connect with people's hearts. That will stand out. ChatGPT won't stand out. ChatGPT can't come up with personal experiences, can't come up with testimonies, can't come up with stories that, churches have inside them that we need to be sharing. So
the world just wants to talk about AI this, AI that. Oh, this is the great AI. Can we talk about the great I am for a second? Can we please? Come on. I had you there. You didn't see that one. Did you really tell me you were going to go off the board about what you were worried about and then said AI?
I mean, I tried. And look, and for anyone who listens to the show or knows me in real life, you know that I'm not like on a soapbox saying we shouldn't.
He is committed to the bit, people, believe me.
It's not saying we shouldn't use these tools, because I do use them. I use them to optimize like mundane work of mine. And there are ways that social media ministers and managers can use AI to optimize your work and to get you some of your time back to invest in writing your own captions, maybe. But there certainly is a line here, and I think the barrier for using, or the watermark for using these tools in church is a lot lower than it is in any other industry, for the reasons that I've done my best to articulate here.
Randomizer, what shall we do next?
I've got questions about the randomizer because it doesn't seem to be truly random. You're up next.
Okay, it's pretty evenly distributed.
Yep, and bring us the negativity. What are you concerned about?
I'd love to bring you the negativity. Thank you. So my negative, concerning trend or observation has to do with the two-word phrase, engagement farming. I want you to think of this as the smarter and more insidious version and evolution of clickbait. Clickbait's goal was to bait a click. Engagement farming's goal is to bait engagement. It's right in the phrase. So one example of this, and this is perhaps the most pervasive example, is purposefully posting something obnoxious to get replies and or likes. These are the lowest denominator tactics on social media. One that we've talked about a number of times is folks that are actually staging skits that are not real. Of these really awkward human encounters to basically be like, oh, if you were the husband, whoa, what would you have done? And it's all just there to basically get people responding, because platforms like X have come out and said, hey, if you are driving engagement, we're going to pay you for that engagement. But X, famously, is not quite smart enough to identify real engagement from bad engagement. And Elon came out recently and said, we're going to crack down on the engagement farming that's happening. So, okay, I mean, you were the one that cracked up on it, frankly. So, but thanks for stepping in, Elon. We appreciate your efforts. Here's what's also strange about this. This used to be something that was done by brand accounts. So if you think about the 2010s and clickbait, what brand comes to your mind? BuzzFeed?
Yeah.
Upworthy, perhaps?
Babylon Bee.
There you go. Yeah. These were the brands that were driving clicks because they would come up with these things that were just irresistible. Didn't really have too much substance. They were irresistible. Now what we're seeing this happen with is actual people. There's been this established playbook that we learned about in the 2010s that now individuals are bringing into the 2020s because, hey, you got to get the bag. You have to secure it. Yeah. And platforms have said, this is how you can make money. And we know of all the different ways that we can get folks' attention. We can stop the scroll on social. Nothing does it quite as effectively as outrage. political outrage, obviously, but outrage as simple as people saying like, they'll take like a really natural opinion. You know, frankly, at lunch, I think one of our employees might have engaged in engagement farming in real life.
Crazy.
Because we're at lunch and we're just talking. It was a nice chat.
Yeah.
And this man just happens to blurt out. He's like, you know what? I have something to say. A Dairy Queen Blizzard is the most overrated fast food item around. And we were all like, what is this man talking about? That's engagement farming in real life. Yeah. Just say something that's so absurd, a binary, this clear dichotomy, hyperbole to get a reaction. And
problem is it works.
This is the concern.
Yeah.
The concern is that a playbook has been established. And what I think Danielle hit on with what she's encouraged about, this move towards low fidelity, this move away from curation, the collapse of curation, basically how real can we make something feel? Yes, we can game that system, and surely in 5 years, that system will be so mainstream that we'll then shift back in another way. But hopefully we're beginning to catch up on this. But the reality is the engagement farming accounts, these staged skits, this stuff is so well done that sometimes it can become imperceptible between something that's actually real.
I mean, I'm happy to take my lickings here. Are you outing me because I just had my first post hit 1 million views and it happens to be a meme that I posted with the purpose of and the intention to get engagement? Is this?
Listen, it's just funny how you've told me outside of recording hours how you don't want to talk about that post, but then you get on, oh, I made this great post about me and the bees and I was in nature and it was really great and it performed great. No post has performed better. Well, tell us about another post that did quite well.
Well, and I'll be honest, this reason, this engagement farming is exactly why I try to post like that, is because not on my church account, that's not on my church account.
That's crazy.
I'm proud of that post
that's
on my
crazy.
church account. On my personal account, which is a coffee blog, I've been at it for a long time and haven't had the energy to take no weeks off. And so I've hit like this plateau. And you can break through a plateau with posting a good meme. And so I took my first shot at posting a good meme, and just yesterday it hit 1 million views. And like, I've just never had a post with that kind of traction or virality. And it really did give breathe fresh life into my account. Not from my perspective, but from the algorithm's perspective. It garnered so much traction. It's one of those posts that just keeps going. I wake up every day and it's like the likes and the shares are just, they're evergreen, and this post is weeks old at this point. But that's why I posted it, is to like breathe some new life into this account and reintroduce my account to a new audience. And I posted it because I knew it would work.
Well, and to be clear,
it worked.
There's a difference between memes that are like niche memes and what I'm describing.
Yes.
I'm just, giving you heck.
Sure, but like psychologically, it's the same thing you're touching on, which is
and that's what makes it so tricky.
Yeah.
There's like this line. Where's the line?
Yeah.
Nobody really knows. And that's what kind of makes it insidious, is because it could be acceptable. Danielle, we'd love for you to weigh in.
I wanted to ask you guys, have you seen those posts that a ton of churches have been doing, where it's like someone like rolling off a stretcher? It's like, and then they like roll off and they're like, come to church. Or like jumping off a building and then they're like, come to church, or like the water splashing in their face from like that piece of fruit. I mean, it's hilarious. Is that
200,000 likes? No. Look, listen, it took everything within me to not put that posting strategy as what I was concerned about. I circled the wagons. I was like, you know what? People are having fun on social. I want them to have fun on social. And if a meme format gets overdone, so be it, right? Like, this is what we did in youth group, every youth group was doing the same thing. This is the Harlem Shake, whatever it is, like more power to them. Bless those people.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are at, another 2 minutes left. So let's move to the randomizer up forward.
We don't have to move anywhere because you're up next.
Hey,
give us something, a change, something in social that is exciting you.
Well, a pastor friend of mine happened to post a meme the other day, and he's been down in the dumps. He's been trying to get this coffee blog off the ground, and look, he's had some peers in the space that have outpaced him, and frankly, he has another kid now. He doesn't have the time.
That's right.
And he just was like, whatever it takes. Am I willing to compromise my standards? And frankly, I'm happy to see this, because Mr. Principal never breaks his standards. I haven't eaten McDonald's fries in 19 years.
Sure,
you wouldn't even know what a DQ Blizzard tastes like, frankly.
No.
Okay, what am I excited about? So I was on a podcast this week, and the host asked me, what would you say to people that feel like they've missed the wave on social media and are starting too late? And I actually responded on the show yesterday and I said, you know what? Someone asked me that, I would say, how dare you? Because when I started prochurchtools.com, a blog, in 2012, we became officially an incorporated company 2 years later. And we will celebrate 10 years as an official incorporated company in 9 days from the recording of this call. When I started that blog, and it was just me, I had to blog every week, 2,000 words, well-researched, well-linked for 3 years. And I got like one post indexed in Google search. And that post was the best church websites of 2014. It was a list post because I was engagement farming apparently back then. And now you can go on Instagram, post a meme, and reach 1 million people and revive your account in a way that is awesome. I checked out Danielle's pinned reels on her Instagram this morning. Both in the last year published. One of them has 1 million views and 28,000 likes. Another has 1.8 million views with 60,000 likes. You can look at reels that I've published in the last year. It's very similar. The churches that we work with, they get a viral for me post. I got an email right before we jumped on this call from a church that we're working with. He's like, we had our first viral for me post. We got 527 new subscribers on YouTube just from this one post. That is not this rarity that never happens. We're living through this right now. It's still happening. It's still realistic. I don't know how long it's going to last, because when something this good comes along on social, everyone rushes. It's a gold rush, right? Everyone rushes to like grab up that real estate, grab up that gold, and eventually there's no more gold left and you have to find the new wave, or you just wait and you consistently post and you serve your audience patiently until the next thing comes along. And so I am just so grateful that this opportunity existed. Like before TikTok came around, social was feeling a bit stale. Snapchat like had a moment, but then Instagram kind of like bit off its feature, and then Snapchat's momentum really stalled out. We didn't really see it ever become what we thought it could after it created this idea of stories that expired after 24 hours. And so to everyone listening that's like, you know, it just hasn't happened for me yet. All it takes is one video. Guess what? That wasn't true 10 years ago. Yes, we had these intimate social spaces where we would publish and reach the folks that chose to follow us in our social graph, and that was awesome. But there was no realistic way to reach hundreds of thousands of people, much less tens of thousands of people. People that are locally distributed around where you live, that would have been unheard of. It was unrealistic. And now it happens all the time. Danielle, you know, maybe you can speak to this with the reels that you've had. I think you have some that are way more viral than anything Alex and I have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can reach more people, new people now than you can have ever before, and quicker than ever before. And it kind of just takes a lot of like testing, like what do people need? What are people's challenges? What are their pain points, and how can I meet those needs? And I would really like to see, you know, churches posting more based on like, what do people need? Like, how can we, you know, meet those pain points right here in this post? How can we meet those challenges right here in that post? And I think that's what actually makes a viral post. What makes a viral post is people are like, oh, I need that. Oh, that's for me. And then once you get that, then posting the same thing, similar posts like that over and over again. Just like, you know, that example I shared in the beginning about my friend Zach, who posted these testimony videos that just went viral. I would actually love to see churches post more like short form testimony videos. I don't see a lot of those, and there's just so much power in a testimony. The other thing is like, the goal for churches is to reach, you know, we want to reach new people on social media. We want people who, you know, have never been to church before to see our posts. We want people who maybe are considering coming back to God to see our posts. And you know, this is the time in social media right now with the discovery algorithms where you can actually reach new people. You know, I know Instagram has said for Reels, for example, that Reels are the only posts that, you know, they actually just go out to reach new people. And that is just such an amazing opportunity for churches right now.
I'm just thinking like how many churches who haven't jumped in on social yet, maybe at all, or maybe it's a platform like TikTok they haven't got on yet, who are thinking this very same thing, like that church that you chatted with. They're like, oh, we missed the boat. Like, it's too late. We'll just wait for whatever comes next, or we'll just double down on what we're doing, like posting to Twitter. And I just wish everyone could like listen to this portion of this show and hear this, that like the gold rush seems to like still be ripe. Like you have not missed the boat here at all.
Miraculously.
Yes.
They don't normally last this long.
Yeah. And maybe that post about the bees is like a good example. Our Instagram account is old, our church Instagram account. Like we've been on Instagram for a long time. We've never used it well. We took a long hiatus, like from the beginning of COVID until like 3 weeks ago, we weren't posting on Instagram. That was intentional and there are reasons, but we just weren't. And so we started posting on Instagram again. We have bandwidth, we have reason. And we posted like a short, unscripted, unpolished story, good story like that about bees. And we got more traction on that post than any post we ever have. And like, that's a prime example of like, these algorithms are in most ways are like non-discriminatory. Like they just don't care much about your account history, whether you're new or old, or if your last 100 posts flopped or not. It's like, if the content is good and if people are watching it all the way through, or if people are sharing it, it's like, they're gonna fan flames onto that ember and like, let it go. And so I just wish every church could hear this. Like you have not missed the boat, whether your account is dormant or you've never opened a TikTok account, like now is still the time. It's not too late.
Well, and I wanted to ask about, Danielle, you mentioned your friend's reel of the girl that was sharing her baptism testimonial. Was she like standing in the tank when that was shot?
Yeah, so she's literally sitting in the tank reading a piece of paper. So it's like not even, just reading a piece of paper, super simple, not good video quality, to be honest. Which is amazing, that you can post something so simple, so quickly. And that could be because it touched people's hearts, because it resonated with people. That's why it popped off,
Well, and let's consider the traditional church testimonial video, the ones that I would have made YouTube videos teaching your church how to do in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And we would have talked about, okay, I'm going to sit down in a black leather chair and I'm going to have like one light and it's going to be lighting like half my face.
We had courses on this.
Right. And it's going to be straight on the camera and you're going to be like, I just couldn't stop doing drugs. And then, not to make light of that, but that's how those typically went.
Yeah.
Let's consider that same girl's testimony video done in a produced way. I guarantee you it doesn't reach that many people.
Right.
Because when someone is scrolling through their feed and they see, oh, this girl's just sitting in a baptism tank, like there's no way to script this. They can see it in the production quality, which tells them, communicates to them, this is organic.
Yep.
And then like, there's no fancy lighting. She's not looking directly in the camera. Clearly, this was a live moment. Suddenly, all of the filters that were subconsciously working every video through to basically determine, is this something that I should have any trust in, or should I just know that this is manufactured? They've been eliminated, and you can engage that content in a real way. So when Danielle says more people should be making videos like that, you have to still follow that same production framework. You have to consider, when someone watches this, is it going to look pretty? Great, but will someone perceive it as organic and real and not manufactured?
That's right.
Right.
So we have Danielle's negative left, and we have your positive left.
That's right. And the randomizer has served us a perfect palindrome. Danielle, Alex, Brady, Brady, Alex, Danielle.
So, I mean, this is what AI, we can't trust AI, like it's all bad.
It wasn't random. So I'll take my shot at something on social that's encouraging me, that's exciting me, and it's actually the return of long form video.
Okay.
Just a few weeks ago, TikTok announced a new initiative to support long form videos on the platform. It's called the Creator Rewards Program. And so this is essentially how TikTok pays out creators for content on the platform, but here's the catch. It only pays out for videos over a minute in length. So we know it's easy to go viral with a meme like my coffee meme that's like, it's like 7 seconds long. And so if you look at the insights, it actually has more replays than it has initial replays because it's short, it's funny. But TikTok's only paying out of this creator program for videos that are over a minute in length. So already with their money, they're incentivizing longer. I mean, a minute is still not really long form content, but longer form content. So this is a quote from their Creator Summit. In 2022, we started rolling out longer videos on the platform. Since then, our community has embraced this format, with users spending 50% of their time watching longer content on TikTok, and viewership of longer videos increasing nearly 40% over the last 6 months. So again, they're self-reporting their data, but still, let's take it for what it is. They're saying we released the feature to post longer videos. People seem to be watching longer videos on TikTok because famously, The TikTok feed has been known for their short viral videos, 15, 30 seconds, even less than 15 seconds sometimes. But there's this shift happening, possibly to compete with more mature platforms like YouTube, towards longer form videos. And this is encouraging to me, exciting even, because empirically, we're starting to see the effect that short form videos have on our brains and our body. So I'm going to pull a Brady here, and I'm going to cite some studies and some data. I was recently reading a study.
Man could not get through his positive without talking negative. I respect the grind.
About our collective dwindling attention span. So this is from the University of California, Irvine, and the woman who's reporting this, Gloria Mark, PhD. She said they started measuring attention spans back in 2004, and they were using a stopwatch because it's the best mechanism they had back then. And so what they would do, their method was shadowing people with stopwatches for every single activity that they did during working hours. So they would record the stop time and the start time. So for example, if you're on a screen when you're working in a Word doc, they would start the time, and then they would watch you, and they would stop the time when you left the Word doc to go look at something else. So in 2024, this looks like me on my desktop having Notion open, Slack, Facebook, Help Scout, whatever, and how long I'm in one task. So if I'm writing a script, like how long I'm in there before I'm going to my control center and taking a peek at Slack or whatever. When I read this study, I did not take a stopwatch out to time myself, but immediately I was like, oh, I don't spend very long in one place at one time. And so back in 2004 with their stopwatches, they found that the average attention span on any screen to be 2.5 minutes. So that's pretty long. Throughout the years, it's become shorter. And so around 2012, so this is 12 years ago from now, they found it to be 75 seconds.
Wow.
And then in the last 5-6 years, they found it to be on average 47 seconds, the median being 40 seconds. So like rapidly dwindling attention spans in the context of work. But anecdotally, I don't know, like if we're all self-aware or honest or humble, we could admit that this is true. Like our attention spans are pretty pathetic. I just recognize that in myself all the time. And it happens like unconsciously. I'll be like watching a hockey game and I'll reach for my phone. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm not bored by the hockey game.
Oh, sure.
Or I'll be at work. I'll be writing a script and I swipe up on my trackpad and I'm looking at Slack or something. And I'm like, why am I here? Like I'm not supposed to be here right now. Our attention spans, they're waning, and that's problematic for so many reasons. But from a Christian perspective, I think it's especially concerning. You know, like it's famously said that look at any saint, or mother or father of our faith, and like none of them were hurried people. And I think you could say the same about this. Like they all were attentive to what they were doing. They were slow. They were patient. They were present. And I can't imagine like any of the saints or fathers or mothers of our faith like having a short attention span, because to be a Christian, to be formed into the image of Jesus, requires like real attentiveness to things like spiritual disciplines and prayer and thoughtfulness and worship. And so this movement towards long form content has me encouraged, because it seems like a bit of like an act of resistance against the thing that is really wreaking havoc on our attention spans. And I just know this to be true anecdotally. Like these short form videos are melting my brain. They're just melting my brain. They're designed to give you a reward when you flick your thumb, like to find something funny or whatever, entertaining every time you flip your thumb. And so like, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive enough to believe that TikTok has our mental health in mind. Like they're incentivizing longer form videos because they want people on the platform longer. I get that, right?
So cynical.
But like, I do think that this could have a positive. I do think the movement towards or back towards long form videos could have a positive effect on our attention spans. Like even the long form videos I watch now, I'm watching at 2 times speed. Because I'm like, can we just get this over with? And I've been right?
Yes.
And I've been trying to discipline myself to like, when I feel that urge, it's like, no, just let the thing play at 1 time speed, because 2 times speed can't be good for your brain. And so I'm working on this. And yeah, I mean, the incentive back towards long form videos on these platforms, apparently you can upload videos on Instagram up to 60 minutes long. I don't know anyone who does that, but apparently you can. But TikTok is really incentivizing creators posting long form videos. And so like, this is especially good news for churches, right? Because our best content is our long form content. We talk about this on the show all the time. Every week, there's a skilled communicator in your community putting together like a pretty long form piece of, even the shortest sermons are 15 minutes long, 20 minutes long. That's a long form piece of content. That's 2,400 words, right?
Longer than any of my YouTube videos.
Exactly. And so like every week you have this piece of content that is so rich. That doesn't mean you need to go to Instagram and post the whole thing because you can, but it means that when we're posting sermon clips that are 60 seconds, maybe 75, maybe 90 seconds, right? Like it means that we have the license to do this because the platforms are actually incentivizing it. Like, yeah, you should be posting long form videos to these platforms. So I'm hopeful, I'm excited that maybe this could have a positive effect on our attention spans, but it also is just good news for churches because we're sharing the greatest story ever told. And sometimes you need more than 30 seconds to tell it. And so that's good news that these platforms are trying to get the users to post longer content.
Danielle, over to you.
Right. Of course, social media is not great for our mental health. I won't let my son watch anything. And it's crazy how even from like a baby, their eyes are just like so glued to the screen. You're like, this is creepy. Like something is not right here. Yeah. But my goal on social media, and I think our goal on social media is, we're going there to meet people. We're going there to find people, and then they can get off social media after that. Get them off social media, get them into your local church, get them into the Bible. And so it goes back to like, what are we using social media for? Like we're using it as a tool to reach people, a tool for ministry, and I think in terms of the long form video, something that I read recently was that on Facebook, I'm bringing it back to Facebook because there's still a lot of people on Facebook who go to church. And so like actually the videos that perform best on Facebook are 5 minutes or longer. So that's actually really interesting and like, something for churches to try. And I feel like I meet so many churches who are like, but all my people are just on Facebook, because I don't know, they're 40 plus, I don't know, whatever that age group is now. And so, so I think that's, Facebook is a great place to start to try that longer form video more and more as well, if that's like where your people are at. And also, agree. It could be super cool for church sermon content as well.
Brilliant. Okay, Danielle, you are in the home stretch now. Your one observation that you're concerned about. All
right. So this is an old observation that is now going to be a new observation because it's still really relevant right now. And it's this: church social media accounts are still extremely announcement heavy. And I have a concern about this because I feel like, again, there's such a huge opportunity right now for churches to reach new people. And I'm concerned that churches are going to miss that because they don't know, what to post, what to create. And as churches, we have a lot of like announcements and events and programs. And so it's easy to think like, I just need to post for that event. I need to post for, this Sunday service. And so we kind of just get stuck and again and posting announcements. And of course, it's because we're volunteers. We're the staff member who got social media dumped on them. We're just trying to figure things out and winging it. So it's totally understandable. But the truth is that if our social media feeds are dominated by announcements and invites, we're actually like unintentionally making it feel like we're trying to sell our church to help people join. And that actually, pushes people away. It actually does the opposite of what we're actually trying to do. And on top of that, then our content doesn't apply to a wider audience because announcement posts, they really mostly apply to people who go to your church. So they're not going to be sent out to new people. And I think that's leaving a lot of people out who need to come back to God, people who haven't been to church in a long time, any person who might be encouraged by something that you and your church have to say. We're leaving that whole group of people out of our posts when we only post or mostly post announcement posts. And so, we need to post about our events and stuff. Like, I totally think that. But we need to learn to view the purpose of social differently and learn to do our announcement posts correctly, You know, like for example, if I'm not a Christian and I come across a post with your event details on my explore page or something, I'm going to ignore it. Like I have no reason to look at your announcement post. But if I come across a post of someone talking about God, how God restored their marriage, and I'm actually really having a tough time right now, I'm going to listen up. I might even come back for more. And maybe in the caption, it's like, hey, listen to this message about marriage or something. And so I'm like, maybe I need to go listen to that. Or maybe at the bottom of your caption or top of your caption, you write something about a marriage event you have. And I'm like, I haven't been to church since I was 20, but I think I need this right now. Maybe I should go to this event. So you see, like, I want to see churches touch on these needs people have that Jesus can answer. And I think we'll reach a lot wider of an audience versus, just posting the classic graphic announcement or, classic invitation post. And, there's places that we can put our announcements, because I do think that we need to tell people about the stuff, because obviously we're doing these things for a good reason. And I think some good places for that, just to get practical for a second, is like the last few seconds of your reel, the end or beginning of your caption, the last slide of a carousel post, or like go crazy in your Instagram and Facebook stories, because the people who see those are actually going to be your current community mostly. So there's a lot of ways to still, talk about what your church is up to and what your church is doing and invite people to those things. But how can we, expand the variety of what we're posting so that we can actually continue to reach a wider audience?
I love the way that you described in that response, but also I've seen this in one of your posts talking about selling your church on social. I think that verbiage resonates with many churches, and I never considered using that. I loved it when you phrased it that way. Could you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, sure. I think that we need to move and like make this shift from selling to serving. It's so easy to say like, oh, this message is so powerful. Like, listen to our pastor preach, or using this language, don't miss it. Just using this language that kind of implies like, just come to our thing, come to us, come to us, come to us. And it's unintentional. I think it's just that we just don't know what else to say. We're just like trying to come up with something, But then it just comes off as like, we are selling this thing that people like, you should come to this event because it's awesome. And so I think shifting to serving is really huge. Like, we can think in our post, like, how does this post help somebody? What can we offer to these people? What are some needs that I've been hearing lately that we can resolve right now? And just asking ourselves, like, does this post, do people walk away from this post with something worthwhile? Do people walk away learning something? Maybe it's just education, like that's serving. Maybe it's entertaining. Maybe your church is funny and you guys like to have some fun. Like, serving is still, entertaining. That's cool. Maybe it's inspiring people, through, your messages or quotes. But yeah, I think that in order to reach more people, we just have to move away from that selling our church to people and move into serving.
Danielle, your perspective on social media and digital in the church space is a breath of fresh air. So grateful for you sharing your wisdom and time with us. I've already mentioned your Instagram, @I'm Danielle Davis, fully endorsed. Everyone should give that a follow. Where else can folks connect with what you're doing and be resourced by all the great stuff that you have to offer?
Yeah, my website is churchfluence.com, and I have a lot of free resources and blogs there.
Brilliant. Well, thanks again, Danielle, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Alex, randomizer. I don't know.
I got you.
Feels like maybe you didn't actually.
I did.
Whatever you say. Look, the people are skeptical, and I am voicing their skepticism.
Look at the randomizer. Randomizer.org. Random.org.
Frankly, that looks a lot like when my wife shares. She'll be like, "Hey, check out this piece of clothing," and I'll click on it to try to like go to the interact on the page. She's like, "No, I just took a screenshot of that web page." I'm like, "Just send me the link." Could that be a doctored screenshot?
It could be.
Who's to say?
I got AI to make it for me.
Who's to say? Thank you for your time, attention, and trust. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
All right, let's do it. So
I'm setting the timer. I'm setting the timer. Okay, here we go. 10 minutes on the clock. Go ahead.